Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome to 30-Minute Flow Yoga. This class will be offering different levels and modifications so that you can hopefully change your practice up to suit your needs. We're going to start in a seated position. So if you don't have a mat, you can just definitely do this on carpet at home or on the grass outside. But if you have something you can use, mat or beach blanket or something, is great. So we're going to find just a nice comfortable seat. Easy seated, cross-legged, or we can stack shins one in front of the other. Rooting down into the sits bones and finding length up through the crown of the head. You can gently draw the navel in towards the spine, engaging through our core. If it's comfortable for you, you can close down through your eyes or just choose a nice soft focal point to focus the gaze. Just going to start by connecting in with the breath. Without changing anything, just notice how the breath feels moving in and out of the body. Right now, notice how the inhale feels. Notice how the exhale feels. Is the breath moving smoothly? Is it feeling a little bit sticky? Are we breathing shallow? Not judging the breath, but just noticing. And then slowly and gently, we can begin to start to lengthen our exhale. So think about releasing the breath fully and completely from the body and allowing that natural, spontaneous inhale to follow. Inhaling through the nose and choosing either to exhale through the mouth or through the nose. Two more breaths just like this. Our next inhale, we're going to reach the arms up overhead, clasping hands, and if available to us, we'll flip our palms to face up towards the ceiling. We can find stillness and life here, start to find some gentle side to side. Maybe a little bit of rotation. Just checking in with the spine, checking in with the hips. And then let's gently draw the palms to the back of the head, right at the base of the skull, just kind of cradling there. Think about finding length up through the crown of the head, a gentle tuck of the chin, and then leaning back into our hands, creating some tension in our own bodies, almost like we're leaning into headrest. Just looking to lengthen and traction a little bit through the back of the neck. Continuing to breathe. And gently releasing here. Start to move a little bit into the side body. Inhaling, we can reach one arm up overhead. As we exhale, floating back through midline. Inhaling, we'll reach the other. And flow through a couple more times on each side. Good, returning to that nice neutral spine, rooted in, lengthening up. Next inhale, we'll lengthen a little bit further, and then initiating movement at the base of the spine, starting to rotate over towards the right side. To get there, we can ground down through the hand, one to the knee, one to the floor, lengthening first. On our exhale, we rotate. And gently unraveling, we'll head the other direction, inhaling to find length. And exhaling, moving through the spine. When we can't move any further, we can root down into the fingertips, helping us move a little bit further. Being gentle with our bodies, we're still just warming up and checking in. Gently unraveling here. We'll find a forward fold. So inhaling as we lengthen, as we exhale, we can start to hinge forward at the hips, walking those fingertips forward. When we can't hinge any further without our sits bones coming up off the mat space, we can choose to stay here, or we can start to melt down through our heart. And gently walking those fingertips back in, sitting up nice and tall. We're going to stretch the legs out in front of us and change the crossing of our legs. This might feel a little bit awkward, but that's okay. You can embrace the awkward. So inhale to lengthen and exhale to hinge. Without any judgment, you can just kind of begin to notice. Does it feel more accessible to fold on this side, or maybe a little bit more difficult? So hinging as far as you can and then folding. Gently walking those hands back in, nice and tall through the spine. Big inhale, reaching. Exhaling, pulling down through heart center. So we're gently going to make our way over onto our hands and knees. If you're caring for knees at all, if you're feeling sensitive, you can double up your mat. Just folding and making double up, or you can place something soft under the knees just to take some of that pressure away. So we're going to come down, spreading the fingers wide. Our fingertips are pointing towards the short edge of our mat or the front of wherever we're practicing to. The soles of the feet, toes can be tucked, or tops of the feet can be resting down onto the mat. Just finding where you're comfortable. Drawing navel in and thinking about length from tailbone all the way out through the crown of the head, and then gently turning the elbow crease towards the front of your practice. This just helps to open up through the front of the collarbones, finding some length through the front body. Initiating the movement in our tailbone. On our inhale, we're going to start to lengthen through the front body. Exhaling, tucking the tailbone around. Inhaling to lengthen. And exhaling to round. Inhaling to lengthen. And exhaling to round. Coming back to that nice neutral spine, we'll walk the hands forward just a little bit, releasing the toes, and keeping our elbows nice and close to our body, leading with our chest. Let's lower ourselves down to the mat space. Keeping the hands underneath of the shoulders, we're going to roll the shoulders to the other back, opening up through the front body, cobra. Exhaling to lower. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to lower. One more here. Inhaling to lift. And exhaling to lower. Keeping hands under the shoulders, we're going to shift the hips up and back, sitting right back down onto our heels, finding our child's pose. Our arms can be extended long on our mat space, or we can invite them in closer, maybe resting one on top of the other and resting our forehead here. We'll take 3 breaths here in our child's. Gently coming back to that tabletop position, we're going to tuck our toes, sending our hips up and back. We're going to find our downward facing dog. So in our downward facing dog, we're really thinking about length through the spine, so all the way from the tailbone out through the crown of the head. My ears are going to be in line with my arms. I'm not as concerned about what my legs are doing, so if I need to find a deep knee bend or pop my heels to find alignment of my upper body, then that's where I'll be. We can find movement here in our downward facing dog, pedaling through the heels, bending through the knees. Then softening into the knees, we'll gaze forward between the hands. We're going to make our way up to a forward fold, so tiptoeing our way there, slowly this first time. And in our fold, softening the knees as much as we need to find contact between our bellies and our thighs. And allowing the head to hang heavy. On our next inhale, we'll slide the fingertips up the shins, finding a nice flat back. And exhaling to fold. And inhaling, we'll invite the body all the way up to standing. On our inhale, we're going to reach. And on our exhale, hinging at the hips, and when we can't hinge any further, we'll round through the spine. On our inhale, half lift. And on our exhale, we'll fold. Rooting into the palms of the hands, we'll step back, finding our plank. And our plank can be from our toes, or our plank can be from our knees. Floating ourselves forward and leading with the chest. Let's lower ourselves all the way down to the mat space. Inhaling as we open up, finding our cobra. Exhaling to release. Tucking the toes, shifting the hips up and back. Into our downward facing dog. And then soft through the knees, gazing forward. We can tiptoe or step up to find our fold. Inhaling to half lift. And exhaling to fold. And then inhaling to invite ourselves all the way up through standing. Next inhale, we reach. Exhale to fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale to fold. Rooting into our hands, we can step or we can hop back to find our plank. Floating forward, lowering down, finding our cobra or our upward facing dog. Breathing here. And then hips up and back, downward facing dog. We'll find 3 breaths. Soft through the knees, gazing forward, tiptoeing, stepping, or hopping up to our fold. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, drawing ourselves all the way up to standing. Exhaling to release. On our next inhale, reaching, maybe a back bend. Exhaling, softening the knees as we fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale to fold, rooting into the hands, stepping or hopping back, plank. Floating forward and lowering down through our chaturanga, cobra or upward facing dog. Hips up and back, downward facing dog. We're going to move into a little bit of a lunge sequence here, opening into the hips. So a couple ways to access our lunge. We can come from our 4-point kneeling, stepping 1 foot forward, or we can choose to get there through our downward facing dog. Lifting one leg high, pulling knee to chest, and stepping through to find that lunge. Grounding down into that back knee. Optional to keep fingertips on the floor. If you have blocks at home, you can use blocks to lift you up, or anything else that can just raise the floor a little bit. Or we can reach those fingertips up towards the sky. So we're thinking about staying nice and level through our hips, not rotating one way or the other, and just sinking straight down. Then floating the left hand down to the mat space, or again, a block or anything to lift. Right hand comes to our knee as we start to open ourselves up to the side. Optional to reach the fingertips up towards the sky, reach for that back hip, or maybe reaching back for the back foot and finding our bind. And gently unraveling ourselves, rooting down into the fingertips. Let's shift those hips up and back, peeling that front foot. We find our half split. Once again, we can use our blocks, fingertips to the floor. We can stay lifted through our chest, or we can fold. And then floating ourselves forward, rooting into both hands. We're stepping ourselves back to our 4-point kneeling, or we're stepping ourselves back to our down dog, peeling that back knee. Stepping back, downward facing dog. From here, floating ourselves forward to plank from toes or plank from knees. Lowering down through chaturanga. Finding our heart opener. Hips up and back, downward facing dog. So we're going to head into the second side. So accessing that lunge through our 4-point kneeling or through our downward facing dog. Fingertips stay grounded. And when we stay rooted into our fingertips, we're going to get a little bit deeper into our stretch. If we're looking to build a little bit more strength and stability, you can reach those fingertips top. Releasing the right hand to the mat space, left hand to the knee. We'll start to open ourselves up nice and wide. Optional to reach the fingertips towards the sky. Finding that hip, or we can reach back to find that bind. Gently unwinding ourselves, squaring through the hips. We'll shift the hips up and back, peeling that front foot. Finding our half split. We can stay lifted here, or we can fold. Floating back forward to the lunge and rooting into both hands, we can step ourselves back to our 4-point kneeling. We're peeling that back knee, stepping back into our downward facing dog. From here, floating forward to our plank from toes or from knees, lowering down chaturanga, upward dog or cobra, back into our downward facing dog. Soft through the knees and gazing forward, we can tiptoe, step, or hop up to our fold. Inhaling to half lift, finding our flat back, and exhaling to fold. Gently inviting ourselves all the way up through standing. Let's take 2 big deep breaths here in our mountain. So we're going to just work through a little bit of standing balance here next. So we're going to start in our mountain pose, the top of your mat. So really rooting into the soles of both feet, feeling connected at the base of the big toe, base of the pinky toe, and the heel. So we're strong through the legs, but soft through the knees, gently drawing that navel towards our spine, length up through the crown, and we gently open the shoulders to the front of the room. From here, we're going to float ourselves into our right foot, coming up onto the toes of the left. Here's our rooted tree. We may choose to stay here, or we can start to journey, lifting that foot up our leg. So we can rest anywhere along our leg. We just don't want to rest the heel right on the knee joint, so either below or above. Moving into our tree. My hands can stay reaching down towards the ground. I can find my hands to heart center, maybe opening up our branches. And it helps if we pick a focal point in our yoga practice. It's called our drishti, and something fixed that we can focus our gaze on. If you're looking to challenge yourself a little bit further, you may actually choose to close down your eyes, knowing that it helps us to find our edges, and it's okay to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. And worst thing that happens is my tree falls over, and then I just build it back up again. So give yourself permission to find that edge. We're going to find 3 more breaths here. And gently releasing the sole, the left foot down to the mat space. We'll find that mountain pose again. Gently floating the weight into the left leg, coming up onto the toes of the right. I may choose to stay here, but still challenging my balance, still challenging my proprioception, soles of my feet, my inner ear. If I want more, I can start to slide that foot up, choosing my variation of tree here today. So once again, hands can remain here, heart center, we can open the branches, and just without any judgment, we can actually notice and observe how our balance feels on one side compared to the other. Most of us aren't going to feel completely the same on both sides. One side's going to feel a little bit more stable, and it's actually okay. But in practicing, we want to make sure we're practicing the same on both sides. We don't want to choose just to practice on that strong side. So rooted into the sole of the standing foot, and then finding length all the way up through the spine, through the crown of the head. So grounded, butt lifted. We'll find 3 more breaths. Gently releasing here, we'll come back down to our mountain. One big breath. Good, and we're going to gently make our way down to our mat space. So getting there through a forward fold. So again, top of the mat, we'll inhale to reach. We'll exhale to fold. On our inhale, half lift. And on our exhale, we fold. And then just stepping ourselves back to find our 4-point kneeling, we can roll over to one hip and come to seated. So we're going to be moving into our deer pose. This is a really nice opener for our hips, especially if you're carrying tension through your hips. We're going to be holding a little bit longer, so this allows us to get a little bit more into the deeper tissues of the body, so getting deeper than just the muscles and tendons and ligaments, and actually getting into that fascia and releasing maybe some tension that's been there for a really long time. So we're going to start seated with the feet just a little wider than shoulder width apart, and then gently rocking the knees from side to side, so just like windshield wipers. So we're just kind of checking in and noticing how are the hips feeling today. Is one feeling a little bit more tight than the other? And then we'll slowly allow ourselves just to settle into the right side. So we want to be rooted down into both knees. Our feet can be flexed or pointed, and we can actually play with the angle in the back leg as well. We might want to draw that heel a little bit closer, tightening the angle of the knee. We might also want to extend that leg back, opening up the angle of the hip a little bit. So just finding where you want to be. And then from here, just sitting up nice and tall. And we have option if we want to stay here. We may want to open ourselves up a little bit further. Or we may want to choose a forward fold here, so inviting ourselves down to the mat space. So just give yourself a moment to kind of settle in to your version of deer here on the first side. And keeping in mind also, if you have one hip that's a little bit tighter than the other, we want to be practicing the same expression of the posture on each side as often as possible. So even if it's one side that's much more flexible or much stronger, we don't want to also always be pushing to the extreme on the one side and practicing a different variation on the opposite. Part of our yoga practice is actually bringing us more into balance. So part of that is practicing the same variation on both sides. So as we're settling in here, we're looking to relax our bodies as much as possible. So releasing any unnecessary tension from the feet, ankles, lower legs, knees, the upper legs. Releasing a little bit deeper to the hips. Noticing are we holding unnecessary tension through the spine, shoulders, arms, hands, wrists. Maybe we need to relax a little bit more through the neck. We're clenching through the jaw. We'll use our breath to help us release any tension coming up. As we get into this deeper hip opening, we want to let go of the urge to either like push through if things start feeling a little bit intense, or the urge to retreat out of it, and rather just kind of notice and observe any sensation that's coming up, but then using our breath to help us just move through it. We're going to find 3 more breaths on this first side. Good. Gently shifting our torso back upright, so we're folded. We'll gently start to come upright, wait for leaning back. Just come to that starting position. And then we'll slowly just rock back to our hips. Let's extend those legs out long just for a moment here, rooting down into the backs of the legs, finding length up through the crown, and just starting to kind of witness, observe any sensation we're noticing from one leg to the other. And in the interest of staying balanced, we're going to head into the second side. So rooting down again into the soles of the feet, we'll just rock back and forth a couple times. If you notice any difference from maybe when we did this before we stretched that first side. And And then settling into our second side. So remembering we're wanting to choose the same expression. If we're folded in the first one, we're going to fold in the second one. If we're opened through the first one, open through the second one. Even if we maybe aren't getting to the same depth, we're still going to choose that option. Giving yourself a moment to kind of play around, figure out where you'd like to be. And then just slowly starting to settle in. Once again, we can just check in and notice, are we holding any unnecessary tension in any other parts of our body? Starting at the feet and gently scanning up through the body. Checking with the shoulders. We're often up here when we can maybe just relax and open a little bit more. And checking with the jaw. Are we clenching there? Can we relax a little bit? Just settling with that breath. Once again, any resistance really provides an opportunity to acknowledge and then soften. Breathing through, letting go. Good, we're going to find 3 more breaths here on the second side. And gently coming back upright, just taking a moment to be here. We'll slowly rock back onto our seat, extending the legs out long, finding a little bit of release here, and then just taking a moment to ground down, noticing, observing any sensation that we're feeling through the legs. Gently going to start to make our way down onto our backs. So options to get there, we can just slowly grab behind one leg, releasing ourselves back. If you want to have a little fun, because why not? We can grab behind our knees and rock and roll a little bit. So rocking back, maybe coming back up, rocking back. Maybe a couple more times, maybe getting a little further. And then eventually just allowing ourselves to settle down to our mat space. So let's just take a moment to stretch the limbs out long, maybe even reaching the arms overhead, finding length. And then releasing our hands alongside our body, we're going to root down into the soles of our feet. We're going to cross the right ankle over the left knee. Finding a little bit of opening here. We may want to stay just here for feeling sensation, and please do. Sometimes even kind of popping up on the toe of the left foot will increase a little bit. If you're wanting more, you can reach around behind the left thigh, drawing that knee in a little bit closer to the chest. We'll find about 5 breaths here. Gently releasing the hands will guide the sole of the left foot back down to the mat space, releasing the right as well. Heading in the other side, so crossing left ankle over right thigh. Staying here, we can start to draw that knee in a little bit closer. So we want to feel again relaxed through the rest of the body. We're rooted down into both hips and into those shoulders as well. And noticing, are we hiking the shoulders up? Is there space for us to release a little bit there? Good, gently releasing the sole of the right foot back down to the mat space, left joining. We'll just reach around behind, drawing knees into our chest for a little bit of a hug here. Perfect opportunity to send yourself a little love note or compliment too. And then releasing the soles of the feet back down to the mat space. We're going to press into the feet and lift the hips just a little bit, sending them over to the left side. And then lifting the knees, we can allow the knees to fall over to the right. That little adjustment with the hips before we roll in just helps to maintain integrity and alignment of our spine. Our right hand may rest on top of the left knee, anchoring down a little bit. My left arm can be alongside my body or maybe extended out away from me. So my left hip is lifted up off the mat space, but both my shoulders are still rooted in. And my gaze can be anywhere from the right side. If I'm wanting a little bit more sensation, I can gaze all the way over towards the left fingertips. And gently we'll roll back onto our backs, straightening out through the hips. Extend the legs long just for a moment. And then sliding those heels back up, we'll head into the other side. So lifting the hips, shifting over towards the right, and allowing the knees to fall over to the left. Again, I can anchor down with that left hand. Right arm might be extended away from me, and my gaze can be anywhere that feels comfortable for me and my body. Good, gently unraveling here, rooting to the soles of the feet. Just allow the legs to extend out long on the mat space, arms resting alongside our body, closing down through our eyes if it's comfortable for us as we head into our final resting pose, our Shavasana. So we'll just allow the weight of the body to rest down heavy into the mat space, relaxing through the mind, relaxing through the heart. Knowing that we are exactly where we need to be right now in this moment. I'll encourage you to stay here for as long as you can if you've got a little bit of time. You definitely want to stay for about 20 breaths. I'll close this practice, leaving you to rest in your Shavasana. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.